Hi everybody, today we're going to have a look at how to amend that InDesign template for your research poster. If you've never worked with InDesign, we're going to have a look at the basics and elements of the workspace to get some ideas of how to work with the InDesign. Okay, so let's have a look at your toolbar. Let's start from the top. This is your selection tool with which you can select different elements on your page and by dragging move them around, or you can drag across multiple elements and move those around at once. You can also resize your images and other elements. So if you look at these studs here, just move those around. You can also rotate them, so pay attention to what that tool kind of changes into. And also notice that on the right hand side, every time you click on a different element, these properties here change. So keep an eye on those ones. It also might be that your workspace looks a little bit different and these properties are on top. You can always change that by going to Window, Workspace, and pressing on different workspaces. So now you see that my properties are here on the top. So I'm just going to go back, Workspace, Essentials, and have them on the right hand side. If you want to go a few steps back, you can press Command Z, and that will change everything a few steps back as many times as you need to. Okay, so that would be the selection tool. And now let's have a look at the type tool. With the type tool, you can really easily delve into your already existing text, and you can see that the properties on the right hand side have changed again. They are more type oriented now. So I can change the color of my type here, and I can make it bigger, and I can make it align it in the middle or align it on the right. So again, keep an eye on those and play around with those because they will help you to perfect your designs. Okay, Command Z again a few times. Perfect. Now here we have our rectangle frame tool. Frame tool is a tool that allows you to create shapes into which you can then drop images. It can be square, or you can go for ellipse frame tool. And if you want to create a perfect circle or a perfect square, press Shift and then draw the shape. So that will keep it proportionate and perfect. Right underneath our frame tool, we have a rectangle tool, which creates basically the same thing. However, they are not frames, they're more elements for your designs. So I can create a background with this tool, and again, go to my properties here on the side, change the color. I can create more of these with white outline, and make sure again to go and select the selection after this. Otherwise, if I try to click on anything now, it will ask me if I want to create another rectangle or any other shape. So cancel that, go back to my selection tool. That is basically what we will be working with today. Just keep an eye on your zoom tool. You can zoom in with this, and your hand tool, then you can move around the page if you are closely zoomed in so you can view things in detail. Okay, that would be your toolbar on the left hand side. Now let's have a look at your panels on the right hand side. I have my pages here, and pages are good if you have a booklet or you have more pages if you're working with more pages. I can go and duplicate the spread, and I can zoom out. I can zoom out on my trackpad as well by pinching and pulling away. And I can create more pages if I, for instance, want to create more iterations, one with the blue background, one without the blue background, and you can shift between those easily. So these are my pages. Then have a look at the layers. The layers are quite important in any Adobe software, and they basically stacks different elements on top of one another. So anything that's on the top is going to be visible, and it's going to hide anything that's on the bottom. So now this layer, you can see it create this little blue stud here. That means that it's on a top layer. I can take this little button and drag it all the way here, and now it's underneath the other layer. So you can see how that works quite easily. So try to keep that organized because it will make your life so much easier. Okay, so these were my layers. Now let's have a look at the links. Links basically show you the list of all your images within the file. Right now I don't have any in there, so I can go click on my frame, I can go place or Command D, and I can pick my image from folders. Or I can go and just open my file and drop that in. So there are a few things that you need to remember when working with images in InDesign. First thing to remember is that InDesign doesn't actually save the image within itself. It only remembers where the image is. So it kind of remembers, like, you know, it's in this file, in that file, in that file. So when I go and take that image and drop it somewhere else, now you can see it created this question mark, and it's basically asking, where is that link? It's missing. So I can click to relink, and I can either click on a different image, or I can just go and drop that in and it will relink it. Another thing it does, it creates this error here, and you never want to export anything with an error. So what would happen if I try to export it as a, let's say, JPEG or a PDF? The InDesign would remember kind of some information about the image and it would export it. However, the quality would be really, really low. So always make sure that there are no errors when you export your images and files. Okay, so go back, and now I have my image here. Another thing you need to remember is that the frame works independently on the image. So if I go here with my selection tool and I resize it, you can see it did not resize the image, it only resized the frame. So if I click on this, when you see the little hand appear and the little circle, and I click on that, you see that there is a different outline here, and that's the outline of my image, and this is the outline of my frame. So they work independently, like if you were framing an image and putting it in a, your frame and stuff. So it's really, really helpful because now you can cut the image, decide which parts you want to show. You can go and zoom in, obviously not too much because now I can see my pixels, so that looks really, really bad. You don't want to do that. So just within the reason, you can cut the image. Another thing that can really help you with the image size is looking here into your properties. So you can, if you can't see this bit, you can always click on that. And this is telling me that I stretched it on 271%. So you never want to go over 100%. So I'm going to put that on 100%. So this is the actual size of the image. And you can never go over 100%, otherwise you're going to stretch it, the pixels will be visible, the quality will be poor, and your work will look awful. So now I can go and look at my links and see that the image is a JPEG, that it's an RGB file, and that it's 300 ppi. So I'm going to create this poster for online purposes, which means that I can use 72 ppi. 300 ppi is very good quality image that you can use for print because it usually needs more information to create a good quality print. However, for online purposes, I don't need it to be that high. Also, I can check my space, color space, and that's RGB, which means red, green, and blue, and that is the color space that I need to use for online purposes. If I wanted to use it for print, I would go for CMYK, which will retain good quality color for print purposes. Okay, so now my image is this really tiny thing here, and I want to make it big. So what I can do is I can double click on that and just quickly open it with Photoshop and just show very, very quickly how you can change that image in Photoshop and make it the right size or whatever. Okay, so I'm just going to do that, and it opened it in Photoshop. Perfect. So in Photoshop, just really, really briefly, I have my image, and I'm just going to go here, up image, and image size. And you can see that it says resolution 300 ppi, pixels per inch. So I'm just going to press on 72, oops, and you can see that it resized the image here. So it's all linked. I could also unclick this. If I go here, I could put it to 300 and it would be really large, but that's not what you want to do because now I would be adding more pixels than there is, so I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to go cancel. Image size 72 ppi, okay, and it resized my image, so now it's much bigger. And also, if I want to go for print purposes, I can put it to CMYK, but 72 ppi RGB color, that is what is for online. 300 ppi CMYK color space, that is for print. So I want to create this for online purposes. So I'm gonna just press Command S. Gonna hide that up for maximum. So it's gonna save as JPEG. Perfect. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go back to my InDesign. And now it creates this little exclamation mark here. And that means, oh, it was modified. I noticed that. So you can double click on that and it will update it with the newest information. So now I can click on that and you can see that it says that actual PPI is 72, effective PPI 300, so it means really good quality. But you can see that from 100% is now at 24%. So I can go and pump that up to 100. So you can see that 100% is now this large image. The more PPI you have, you can kind of stretch that and make that smaller or bigger. Okay, but that's for another day. So I can pick different pieces of that image. And what I can also do, I can go here and go for frame fitting. So I can fit content proportionally. That will fit the image within the frame. Then I can fit frame proportionally, and that will fit the image within the frame perfectly. So the image is slightly shorter than the frame. So I think I will fit that. I will move it a little bit to the left because I want this piece of the image to be visible. And if I also click on it, you can see the other bits of the image that will not be shown. Okay, so I can see what I'm hiding, just a little bit of a tree and a bit of the path here. Okay, so that's about images in your InDesign file. And as I said, make sure that it never goes over 100%. Make sure that you don't stretch it and squeeze it. So what I could do also, I could squeeze it like that, but obviously that looks awful, so you don't want to do that. So make sure that always this is proportionate. There is another way you can resize the image if you want to resize it with the frame together. So I can press Shift because proportion, and I will press Command to make sure that the frame resizes with the image. So I can press this, and now you can see that it resized both together. So Shift for keeping proportion, Command for keeping the image resizing with that. Okay, so if I press just Shift, it does this. If I press just Command, it does this. So you see the difference. But clicking this button is usually the fastest thing to go. Okay, so that's my images in InDesign. Quite a lot to wrap your head around, but kind of works really nicely. Okay, so now I added my image and I'm very happy with that. And now I want to change my type. I believe that the poster has two ideas, context and ideas, and you should have some text for each. So just to show you how to update text, I had a file here. There's my text. There you go. Okay, so I have some text about Hansel and Gretel. And what I can do, I can take this type and Command C, and I can drop that in. And you can see that it embeds the formatting that I've already set here. And it's quite small, so I can copy that in, and then I can go and I can double click this and it'll actually fit it towards the text. And then I can go and move this here and copy another part of that text and drop that in as well. Now you see here I have this little plus and an arrow here. This little plus means that there's more text than there is visible in this file or in this element. So I can drag that and you can see it shows me more of the text, and it doesn't have that little plus here, and it doesn't show the error here as well. So this, if you look into your pre-flight panel, will set that there's error text and there's an overset text, and if you double click on that, it will show you the exact text box that is not showing all the text. So I can do that or double click this. So always make sure that all your links are linked and all your text is visible. So I can do that, and I can throw the text in each box separately, or what I can do is I can take this text, take more text, take all the text, and throw that all together. And as you can see, it's showing me that plus sign again, but even, I see, and it shows me all the plus sign again. And let's say I have more text here, so I'll copy that in twice again. So plus sign again. So what I can do now, I can delete this and I can delete that. And yeah, and if I press this plus, you see that text next to that little chain, that means a link, and I can link these text boxes together. And it basically means that all this text is kind of flowing from one box to another. And if I go and select all this text, you can see that it selects it all throughout these three boxes because they are linked. I can delete this and I can pull this and I can just play around whatever I want to do with my text. So that's quite helpful to know. Okay, so as you can see, this text looks in a certain way, and these little headings looks in a certain way too. So if I go and select my text here, you can see that I have on my properties, I have this thing called paragraph styles, and that's basically I set formatting for different types of text. So if you drop that down, you see that I have heading, that I have big heading, and I have body copy. This is a body copy, and I can select it to big heading, and this is the big heading, as you can see. And this is my heading. So I can throw this as a heading and just play around with those. Maybe I need to move this a little bit downwards, double click. So this is my, let's say, heading or bigger text, and these are my more of a casual text. Or you don't need to use the paragraph styles at all. You might want to change it by yourself, and you might want to throw this as a white text, which looks quite good. You can change it into a different type that you would like. Maybe you want to change it to something more playful. So you can play around with that. However, the good thing about paragraph styles is that I can go here and just click body copy, and it changes with single click, it changes the whole paragraph. So that's very helpful. If I select that all, it changes it all at once. What I also can do is bring up my window, styles, paragraph styles, and this is my paragraph style window, and I can just drop that here. I can take my character styles, drop that here. So these are my paragraph styles. And if I double click on that, it brings me all the options that I can change regarding that, regarding the formatting. So maybe I want to change that here, and you can see that it already changed. Maybe I want to make it pink, and you can see it changed here. So I can do that and save that, and now all my body copy looks like this, and it changed here as well. So that's really, really helpful. If you don't want to change all the text one by one, you might want to change it all at once, and you can see even the text that I haven't touched here has changed. So you can play around with that, or you can just go as you go, change it as you go. Okay, so that's your text changing. So we have changed our image, we have changed our text, we have created ourselves some kind of a background. We are happy with the way it looks. Well, let's say that we are. Maybe I like the pink better. Maybe I can just go for this eyedropper tool, which picks colors. Maybe I just want to pick this color, or maybe I want to pick this green. You know, whatever floats your boat. If you also really like this color, what you can do, you can go to your fill, and as making a new page or making anything new, you can make new swatch. So I'll click that, and now I have a new color and I can apply it. In a similar way, I can click on a new color again and double click on the color, and then I can move it around. So this is what we were talking about, the RGB. It basically means that I'm mixing each color with these three colors. If I was with my CMYK color, I would be mixing them with these four colors. So that's kind of the idea. So I'm going to press OK if I want to change that, but I don't. So let's leave that like it is. Let's have a look at the saving before we export this file. So exporting kind of creates the file that we want, like PDF or JPEG. However, you need to save it first. So I'm going to just press Command S, or you can go File Save. So File, Save, or Save As. And I'm going to save it as a research poster template, maybe number 3, because I already have 2. And as I said, keep an eye on where you're saving it. If you have it with your links and with your text, it's kind of nice and tidy. Another thing you might want to think about is sometimes you work with the InDesign file and you take it to another computer. And sometimes the computer doesn't have the newest InDesign, or it has the older one. So you can open it. You can either save it as InDesign 2020. However, any earlier versions of InDesign wouldn't be able to open this document. So maybe you want to open it on your 2016, 2018. So to do that, save it as InDesign CS4 or later. That'll save it as IDML file with this ending. And that will just ensure that you can open it on any InDesign file, CS4, and then just 2016, 17, 18, and you can just save and you can just open it everywhere. So that's really good. As I said, your images don't actually save into the file, neither the fonts are saved in the file. So if you go to another computer that doesn't have the same fonts and you didn't save the image and didn't take it with you, you might be in a bit of a trouble because you don't have your image. So make sure to save everything together. Okay, and I'm going to click save. And here you can see that I have my research poster template, research poster template 2, and research poster template 3. There's a little bit of a difference between these files. So this is the IDML and this is 2020, so you can see the difference in the logo as well. Okay, but now let's go for the exporting part. But once you're happy with that, let's go and export this file. I'll go File, Export, or Command E, and I will pick my file. I want to save it to my research poster, and I can select here what file format I'll export it as. So Adobe PDF Print will save it in a color space for CMYK. Interactive saves it in RGB and for online purposes. So I want this poster to be online. I want it to have RGB color space, and if I saved in any hyperlinks, I want it to embed it as well. So I'm going to go PDF Interactive. However, you can save it as a JPEG or PNG. So I'm going to go for Adobe PDF Interactive. I'm going to save it as research poster template, and I'm going to save that. And I already have one. I'm just going to replace it. And if I had more pages, I can save all pages. If I had 10 pages and I wanted to export only one, I can do that. With my images, I want to save that, make sure that the images are good quality. So I know that my resolution of the image is only 72 ppi, but I'm going to go for higher and it will remember all the information. I'm going to make sure that it's a maximum, and I'll try to go for this. Since it's only one page, it shouldn't be too large, but if you had about 10 pages or 20 pages, you probably don't want to go for such higher quality because it would be a really, really large file. Okay, so I'm going to export that. And you remember when I said you don't want to have any errors? I have an error there. There is an overset text on the page 1, and I press OK. So you can see that when I have my overset text, the type continues, but I kind of cut it off. So that's really something you want to keep an eye on for, because if you cut off part of your essay or part of your research, it'd be really, really sad. So I hope that was really straightforward as much as it could have been. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email us. We'll be happy to help you.